And welcome to another edition of Defo on 5. Jeff DeForest, and of course, my partner here, the great Mike Lubitz, who is not only locally recognized, but nationally recognized. I was thinking about the times where we used to substitute for Nick and Artie. That was Nick DePaul and Artie Lang. And Lubie and I, at the time, we were working 7 to 10 at night on 940 Winds here in South Florida. And we would go from Porky's Strip Club in Hialeah out the back door carrying equipment cases and whatever it took to pull off a live remote because it wasn't like we had a high budget program working there on 940 Winds. We did everything ourselves. And the whole idea, I mean, the thought of sending an engineer out, hey, can somebody block out that sound from the stage? That wasn't part of the equation there. And so we would go literally out the back door of I wouldn't say it was a high-end strip club with you. It's not like, you're going somewhere in Vegas and, they had a Paris Hilton at the DJ table. I would have to say this was somewhat low-end. I don't know if the same guys are involved. They were great people. Great. I want to tell you, as strip clubs go, well-run, really a nice place, great vibe in there, maybe not the most sensational of women. And that was a good thing. Our wives trusted us to go to Porky's because they knew we weren't going to be hitting on anything. We actually were better off at home. Can you imagine?
I'd go.
No problem. Hey, did you try the meal? It's the best in the city. It was great. So you have national recognition, and we want to thank the people out there for the nice response. I think we're off to a good start here. I don't know. It was not an enormous number. It's not like, Scoop Skolnick personally called us right after the numbers were in and said, hey, you guys are great, man. But that seldom happens in this business. But I think we've found our calling here with this quick flash. And then we decided to up our game after one day. One day, people. We said, you know what, we're going to do this even earlier because we are caught in a time warp, Lubie. We still believe in morning drive performing.
Yeah, we are.
I don't know. Does anybody go to work anymore? I don't even know.
Everyone in my world works from home.
Yeah. I mean, I slept 1 foot away here. So my morning drive now is to, stumble into the shower, gargle down a couple of pills that I have to take because I'm getting up there in age. And, we also appreciate the fact that Ethan Skolnick with 5 Reasons Sports Network has developed a much younger core demographic than we were used to appealing to. We were very heavily, dosed in the dynamic of 90 plus and mutant pygmies of 95 years of age or older. Did great in those categories. And so a lot of you people might not even know who the hell we are, right? We have no idea. And I appreciate the fact that you were willing to check it out. That's nice. We hope that it only grows from here. And you're probably thinking to yourself, well, if you would say something, it'd be great. All right. So we're going to get into a bunch of stuff here today. I immediately, my post wasn't thrown this early in the morning because, we are recording this thing as a live entity, live to tape, so to speak, so that it can play all day, but beginning and hopefully about 7 o'clock here on 5 Reasons, thereabouts. I mean, because we wanted to be your morning cup of Joe there, your morning cup of coffee. But apologies to Joe Rose, my good friend who I worked with for many years. And only I would come across immediately, and this struck me, the lines for preseason exhibition Grapefruit League and Cactus League baseball. Now think about how absurd this is. That people are betting on spring training games. I mean, how could you early spring training games, no less? Hey, Tebow, grab a bat. That's the kind of thing you hear in spring training. Tebow, what? He's going to hit for Roberto Clemente? You got to be out of your mind. I mean, it's only the second inning. They're doing disastrous things. I know they're trying to speed up the game. That's been the big conversation. And imagine that your game is so bad that the only good feature about, an incentive to go to games this year is they're not going to take as dreadfully long. To play this boring piece of crap that they're trying to sell you, which is 19 strikeouts per team across 9 innings. And then when you get to the 10th inning, it's carnival time. Oh, let's just load the bases, and then the first guy to hit the ball in play, whoosh, game over. That'll be the new rules. Anyway, if you're betting preseason baseball, I mean, do you not have a problem? Last night I was watching the tail end of an NBA game. It wasn't a Heat game, by the way, which that was a pretty dark moment also in Miami Heat history. Did you catch any of that? Joel Embiid on the bench, my friend.
Yes. You're at home without Embiid after just beating this team with Embiid on the road. And you not only lose, they were losing from the second quarter on by
trounced. Yeah. Your theory that James Harden is a completely shot fighter, which we explored a little bit yesterday. with Eric Reed seems to have some holes in it. You know, I'm not a Harden fan anymore. I was. I thought James Harden. I said this is one of the most egregious, outrageous, stupid comments I've ever made as a preliminary examination of a sporting event that was about to take place. A pregame analysis, also known as pregame analysis, which it's paralysis by analysis. We all know, and we'll get to that about what's going on in sports talk today and why we are even bringing up the topic of betting preseason baseball, because that's the way we roll, right? These young guys probably figure we are literally the geezers at Caesars. But with betting and the way it's going on, they put a big black block. I thought it was an ad for Cash Call, which is a way to get a cash advance even if you have no money. Your credit score is sub-Lutarski, and they literally believe there is no chance that you could ever pay this money back. And whatever you secure the loan with, they're going to take, whether it's a junker car. I don't even know if they get into something like that. I think they end up taking your mother's house. But that's written on the disclaimer, which comes up on the screen. It covers the whole screen. You could never read this in the split second that they put it up there, right? Now, you see this with the attorney ads all the time. And that's what comes up now after NBA games. It's not rolling the credits. Well, what a fine job our man Bob Dunphy did on the direction here tonight. We really want to compliment the crew. No credits. It's just a big ad that says, if you have a gambling problem.
They've been pounding gambling ads the entire.
They got Reggie Miller saying, hey, you think he's going to make this three? The ball's in the air. You could bet it. You could bet it right now on FanDuel.
So
it's literally insane. Yeah.
The other way.
But at the very end, there comes this disclaimer. It pops up on the screen and says, well, if you got a gambling problem, 888-ADMIT-IT, right? The same number as I've said for many years that my mother used to leave on my phone as the number to call her back. Jeff, can you call me back? 888-ADMIT-IT. It's your mom. Like I wouldn't recognize the voice after 97 years. Right, exactly. Preseason baseball, though, unbelievable. The juice at Cash Call, I would think, would be somewhat insurmountable, would it not?
Like 20%.
That's and the meter starts as soon as you set foot in the cab on that one. All right, a couple of things. Anyway, and I was going to go ahead and give you a little piece because we do this from time to time. We follow Brent Musburger started this thing, and I forget what his organization was called now. It wasn't Vegas Insider, but it was Vegas something. It was like Vegas Schmenk. And we called it the Bury America campaign because they would have a very eloquently written piece on gambling that appears, in my case, in my New York Post. It's now called Action Top Play. And the guy that handicaps their college basketball, which I'm going to give you a piece of advice right now, Mike Lubie Lubitz. And this may already be a bad piece of advice because I couldn't find the result of the Atlantic Sun tournament unless this final is tonight. Is it Lipscomb versus Kennesaw State? Is that possible? Well, Kennesaw Mountain Landis. Why would I be interested in that game? Because I'm going to tell you people, do not sleep on Big Daddy.
Oh, there
do
you
not
go.
sleep on Lipscomb.
There you go.
Now, this is coming from a guy that when tournament time comes, I immediately see if there are any teams that are named after racetracks. Monmouth, Belmont. I think Prairie Meadows may have a college. I don't know if they ever qualify for the tournament. But if your school is named after a racetrack, then I'm naturally all in. I've never hit on that bet, by the way.
Exactly. I love that.
Kind of like this guy, but he hit one. I was going to get into it. He recommended Ohio State with a crappy record, 12-17. At home, though, a much more of a dynamo. Ohio State having a god-awful season. And who doesn't root against Ohio State except people that are from Ohio? And maybe Bobby Knight. No? I know. Even Bobby Knight's rooting against Ohio State. What am I talking about, man? He hates Ohio State.
They're not national. Gives a crap about
Bobby Knight. He doesn't even know what day it is, man. It seems like neither do I. Anyway, this guy gives you Ohio State getting 1.5 over Maryland, and they covered easily. Could have just played it on the money line and some sound logic. So here's a tip, though. Get this column, Action Sports, Action Top Play. See Jackson Cowart. Now that he hit a game, the next 9 are on the house, man.
Exactly.
It's going to be awful. All right, we were going to do some topical sports talk here, Lubie. I don't know if you wanted to get into it because I'm often amused, when I see, has ESPN, in spite of its vast overall greatness in terms of improving our ability to see a hell of a lot of games, right? You can't complain. They have a lot of games on there. Whether you like the way they present them or not, I think they're very professionally presented. You may not like the announcers. I don't know. It's easy enough to overcome that just by turning off the sound or whatever, or just mocking everything that they say. Can you believe this guy said that? My God, Booger McFarland. Louis Riddick is the one that drives me crazy. Very intelligent. I mean, it's not like he doesn't know what he's talking about, but this is exactly what has driven sports talk into the toilet, my friends. And I'm a big sports talk fan, and believe me, I've taken part in any number, as you know, Lubie, of contrived debates, although we didn't really engage in that too often, right? If somebody called up and said, hey, Defo, Lubie, who do you think was the better quarterback, Marino or Montana? Well, we would politely dismiss the guy,
I would say probably Montana, but I love
we
Marino.
would. Yeah, we wouldn't necessarily go Hank Goldberg and start calling a guy all kinds of names, right? But who would it be, right? I guess you're gonna have to go with Joe if you're going to use criteria.
Yes,
The championships undefeated in championship games, it tends to run pretty big. That does it not? I mean, look at Jordan over LeBron. What's the big argument? Well, LeBron is like 2-9 in championships.
he's 4 out of
He's
10.
been to 9 of them with a bunch of schmucks.
Exactly.
Incredible. The big one now, though, and this happened last night, where Durant finally got into action. He hadn't played in a couple of months. Pretty amazing. I mean, does the guy really have to add to his legacy? I'm not sure that winning a championship with the Phoenix Suns necessarily. I mean, it doesn't hurt him any. It's a nice piece on the resume. Here he is with another team. He wins a championship. Everybody thought it was a punk move that he went to the Golden State Warriors. Our stated position on this, people, is we love a stacked team. Stack my team any way you want. If the Miami Heat weren't stacking themselves with Kevin Love and, people that were of little consequence, Cody Zeller, in spite of the fact that he was injected with Heat culture serum, which we talked about yesterday at great length on the show. I mean, how do you get blown out the subsequent night like that if you're going to start to make a little bit of a move? And Eric Reed told us, and I never really get too heavily into this when people go, oh, well, the tough part of the schedule is right here. But it is.
Yeah, it is.
It's unfortunate, yeah. So the Heat, I mean, wow, that was an abysmal, inexplicable performance. As was, I mean, do you think that Durant after 2 months should have just gone to a new team and dropped in 23 while Booker scores 37? And that's another unfortunate story, as we all know what happened there, right? Pat Riley, just his brain snapped. It was almost as if he was sitting in his office with Dion Waiters going, here you go, Dion, 4 years, $80 million. That looks pretty good. That would be actually for a scrub now, wouldn't it?
Yep, it is.
4 years, $80 million. You go, can you believe this guy walked out of here with only $80 million? He's averaging 2.6 points a game. It's great. Anyway, I mean, the whole thing, just it isn't working, right? I mean, it's an abysmal circumstance where you lose to Philadelphia in that fashion when you're supposedly going to build a little bit of momentum. But it's been that way all season long.
All year. That's literally the Heat. Every time they take a step forward, 2 steps back.
Yeah, unbelievable. You remember too? I mean, what happened to the purity of ESPN? Huh? I mean, the first time I saw it, you remember the first time you saw ESPN, Lubie? Well, I mean, it was already established by the time you were at TV.
When I was young, SportsCenter was
Sports
a big deal. I mean, Dan Patrick and Keith Olbermann was still doing SportsCenter.
They had some barbaric sets, though, when I first saw it. The first time I saw it, I was in Pensacola, Florida. I had just driven across the country to move down here. MGB, the roof off there, and I had driven like 24 straight hours, like I was at Le Mans. So I stopped in this place, and I ended up sleeping like almost an entire day. And I woke up. I didn't have, I don't know what the deal was. I didn't have ESPN when I lived in California. So I couldn't wait to see it. And you know what was great? Bobby Ches got the snot beaten out of him every night. It was kind of like watching those old Jerry Quarry fights on ESPN Classic. And I think that's what sank ESPN Classic. You don't see that around anymore, no? Because people got tired of seeing the abuse that Jerry Quarry was taking. Whether it was from Ali, Joe Frazier, any of the other heavyweights that are around at the time. All right, been a lot of fun being with you again this morning. I had more to get to, so we'll have to carry it over into tomorrow. Thank you, people, for tuning in. It's great. We're as we said, pretty much the geezers at Caesars. I'm that guy in the corner. You ever been to Danny Donuts on Atlantic Boulevard? You've been.
We have one by us out west. Yeah.
Is it open 24 hours?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm the guy that's at the end of the counter. You go in there at 3 a.m. after you've been out on an all-night bender. I mean, you're more inclined to be in this mode than I am now. But every once in a while, right? You're out late. You decide to stop in there, maybe get a cup of coffee, or maybe you're on your way out to do something. We did a lot of early morning stuff.
Mhm.
And, there's always that one guy that's like with gray hair hunched over in the corner. Kind of like when you go to any old boxing gym, like this was the case at the Fifth Street Gym here in Miami, Main Street in Los Angeles, where that guy, hey, Whitey, get me a towel, right? You know the guy. And then he goes to his wallet and he's got a picture of himself standing like this, and it says, Whitey so and so takes out Lamada. What? Lamada? But I'm that guy, and I'm reading the Pompano Pelican, right? I'm the guy that's slumped over there reading the classifieds in the Pompano Pelican. I have a cup of coffee that I'm going to nurse from 3 in the morning when you saw me, and I'll still be there at 4 in the afternoon. Same pose, same seat, all by myself. And with that, we say, hey, have a great day, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Defo on 5 with Mike Lubie Lubitz. We thank Ethan Scoop Sculling for putting the whole thing together. And thank you very much once again for the kind words about our initial offering. I hope you enjoyed the show. And we'll see you next time on 5 Reasons Sports Network.